about trick shots. I'm going to show you something. So we just throw some throwback here. The year was 1978, and the All-Star game, I believe, was in Atlanta that year. And they did, and again, going back when you start talking about the mid-'70s, as a kid, I mean, I'm 55, so, as I'm looking at the slam dunk, and especially in Canada, like I'd never seen it before. Like the slam dunk to me was, I just couldn't believe people were doing it. And it became eventually sort of the thing for the NBA All-Star game, in its infancy. When you saw, Dominique, to me, when I saw what he did then, I just couldn't believe a human, the up and down the leg. And then I just could not believe that someone could do that. And it was the most exciting thing I'd seen. Back in 1978, there still was this kind of weird feeling. And I would say, I don't know if it's necessarily a racial line, but it was like, how much of the street ball, how much of the stuff that exists out there are we actually going to implement into the NBA game? Because the NBA game in 1978, their finals here in Canada, they're on tape delay.
They were on the tape delay in the States.
Yeah.
It was actually one of the first NBA finals I watched on a little 13-inch black and white TV underneath my sheets because I had to go to school the next day because they came on at 11:35 after your local news.
Unbelievable.
On tape delay.
See, kids, they go, what are you talking about? Why wouldn't it be live? Because the NBA was looked at as a league of, some of it, they thought there was a little bit of degenerates part of it. Mm-hmm. I heard whispers of, the weed smoking or marijuana. There was that.
They were doing something. I mean, in the 70s,
the 70s was the 70s, right?
Coke was passed around like party favors.
But
it was the way people looked at cocaine in the 70s was more recreational. It was more like weed to them. They didn't think of it as a drug that would lead to something worse or lead you to rehab. It's just like, it was one of those things you did.
The party favor.
Yeah, it really was.
Yes. And so what I'm going to show you now is very interesting because I didn't realize it existed because it probably wasn't even shown in Canada. They played the game horse. Mm-hmm. They play horse, which many of us have played beforehand, and they have the Iceman and Pistol Pete.
Yeah.
So Pistol Pete is still, with the Jazz at this point.
The late Pete Maravich.
Yeah. We played some clips of his a couple of months ago, and people said it doesn't look real. He was
magic before magic.
Otherworldly, I guess is and if you for those that saw him play at LSU, I mean, so against George Gervin, so people getting their heads around San Antonio at the time, but this is a moment that I had not seen before. But you realize, you talk about pre-magic, this is magical. If you're a basketball fan, watch this. Again, I assume proper the NBA, but man, oh man, Pete Maravich, George Gervin, horse, 1978.
Today, we have Pistol Pete Maravich, a former NCAA and NBA scoring champion, against George Gervin, the current scoring champion in the league. And so to lead away, George Gervin of the San Antonio Spurs has won the toss, and he fires up a jumper off the glass. And the pistol had too much on his. Jump shot. Gervin, a spectacular player, an over 50% shooter from the backcourt.
All right, out of bounds.
Now Pistol Pete.
Off the backboard, straight out.
Going to go into his bag of tricks, and he has got a lot of them. They say of George Gervin, he can shoot over just about any guard in the league, and anyone he can drive around.
No step, straight out.
Straight up.
All right, sit down, make a layup.
Pistol's going to take it easy here.
Off the backboard.
Pistol can make that ball talk, I think. George wasn't expecting all this sitting down, I don't think.
Can you believe, actually, though, they're doing this?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, this
great. I mean, as an older guy, when I go out to the court and I see young guys shooting around, I tell them I'll play horse. And if you beat me, I'll give you a prize. But if not, as the rules go, you owe an old guy 10 push-ups. So I leave a lot of bodies on the court. A lot of bodies.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the kind of stuff. He'd do that in a game.
Yeah.
He'd do that in a game.
Used that against Bob McAdoo and gave the big fella a lot of problems.
But see, when you don't practice it, because George Gervin, Anyway, this again, you can go and watch this. It's courtesy of NBA TV. It goes on, but George Gervin, do you think because of the time, the era that he played, it's pre-internet, it's pre-sports radio, sports television, pre a lot of things, is he underrated in terms of how good he was? Do you think?
No, I mean it's just a matter of the time. You know, he was one of my position coaches when I tried out in San Antonio.
Really? I didn't know that. That's cool.
Sent me home. I'll send you an article that I wrote about trying out as an unrestricted free agent, going to a camp in San Antonio. I used to work at the University of Texas San Antonio in the summer. It'd be 80 degrees, 90 degrees Fahrenheit at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's Mexico. I mean, it really is. If you go down there, it's Mexico.
I tried my best to keep up with the new signee, a guy they had traded for by the name of Dennis Keith Rodman. Oh. That was his first year there. Wow. And that was my first mistake. Although I did have a little list. I had a piece of paper that had some things that I could do to make sure I stayed in camp, which was fake low, go high, throw the ball inside to David Robinson. Fake high, go low, throw the ball inside to David Robinson. So those are on the top of the list, and I did pretty well with that part. But, you know, we can talk about the article later for this blog that I write for called Breast Basketball. And the blog that I write, The Open Run, on my hat.
The Open Run. There you go.
So I'm up here just doing so much. I'm so flagrant. I'm sorry, Mike. You talk about all these companies I'm working with.
No, that's good, too, because there was a while ago,